Those who haven't sat for that class, don't worry. For the previous class, we just had an orientation on ethics. We had a definition of what is attitude, and we discussed about the components of attitude as such. Okay. For those who missed it out, we'll do it later on. But now I'll just continue from where I stopped. Is that clear? Is that okay? Okay. Okay. So we'll begin off then. Last class, we had a discussion with regards to attitude and components of attitude. So can someone tell me what are the components of attitude? Yes. ABC, what is A? Affective. B is behavioral and C is cognitive. Cognitive is cognition. You just see it. Cognitive is cognition. You see it. That's the first part. You look at it, something strikes your mind, just gets inside your brain. That's the cognitive part. Affective part, how it affects you. Positive or negative, dependent upon what it is. Some look at biryani in a very different manner. Some look at it in a different manner. It varies. I'm just taking biryani as a good example. Some like chicken, some don't. You place a big bowl of chicken in front of a person who is a pure vegetarian, his attitude is not going to be positive. True? Whereas it's going to be the opposite for a person who loves chicken. Is it a problem of the chicken? It's that individual psychological tendency to evaluate it with a degree of favor or disfavor. It's based on their psychological tendency. And it is created, the psychological tendency is created because they have a cognitive element which sees the chicken and which it affects them in a bad manner, dependent upon their circumstances in which they were raised. Okay? It affects them in a bad manner. And when cognitive and the affective component works together, it brings about change in their behavior. They'll say, I don't want this chicken. I don't want this. Some of us can't eat shellfish if you have allergies or something. So that is a problem. So your your response towards shellfish is going to be really bad because you can't tolerate it. It's your personal choice. It's not a problem of the shellfish. You have allergies, you can't handle it. So your cognitive and the affective component brings about a behavioral change. Your cognitive and affective component brings about a behavioral change. We say it as his attitude is not right. She has too much attitude. These are all terms we use in our daily parlance. But what it means is some element of their attitude is clashing with your personality or your attitude. That's what we say as like his attitude is not right, she has too much attitude. These are terms we use, but this is the understanding. What we mean by that is their behavioral principles, the way they behave with others, there is a variation in it. Or there is a variation which you cannot accept as such. That's what. So coming to changing the attitude, I told you attitude is made of these three components as such. So if I have to change the attitude, automatically these components have to change. So in short, to change my behavior, I have to change cognitive and the affective component. Chicken is still chicken. Can I change the cognitive component? There is a limit to what I can do. There is a limit. See, Aishwarya Rai looks beautiful for you because she looks beautiful. I can't place another lady and say compare her with Aishwarya Rai because she has her own unique characteristics and features. So beauty lies in the eye of the beholder. So in short, you can't change cognition, but you can change the way it affects you. And that changing is what is necessary to change the attitude. So tomorrow there's a question like, what is attitude? What is the importance of attitude? How do you bring an attitudinal change in people? Or how do you bring an attitudinal change in civil service? You should be writing what is attitude, you should be writing the definition, and you should be writing about the significance of attitude. And then when they say how to bring about a change in attitude towards civil service or towards corruption or towards public administration, you should be able to say this. In short, you have two sides, 150 words. You don't have time to write stories as such. Right? Go for the point as soon as possible and then finish off the answer. Why? One more thing is that in ethics, for each ethics theory part, you have 7 minutes to write. Unlike your GS papers, which offer you 9 minutes, your ethics paper, you have 7 minutes on average. You write your answer in 7 minutes. If it's a case study, you have 15 minutes, but that's a different ball game. Theory questions, you will write in 7 minutes for 2 pages. You don't have time to write stories. You will not write stories. You will not write anything unnecessary inside your ethics paper. But you will make sure that you have the content in your head. If you sit there, think like this, and then write, gone. 13 questions, swaha. I gave you a breakdown of how you can attend the questions. Did I tell you, like case studies? I gave it in the last class, right? So you know why each question is important. You cannot afford to take a risk. That's why I say, whenever you learn it, learn the bare bones in a perfect manner as much as possible. You should never have a doubt on that. Tomorrow, someone asks what is the component of attitude, you should be able to say CAB. Cognitive, affective, behavioral. You change the affective component, affects the cognition, brings about a change in the behavior. And if you can write this in the answer in 2-3 lines, you're safe. Because the rest of the people will be trying to build story around it. You got the content. Next, write what is the demand of the question. If you have time, you can write it in detail. But generally, you don't have time for your ethics paper. Generally. In general, you don't have. That's why I say, in the class, whatever I'm taking, do not miss any point. Because usually we have the tendency, right? I'll take some portions. What you write in notes is 80% of what I take. And what you learn is 50% of what you write. That doesn't work here. I am taking the bare minimum as it is. Your supplementary reading material is ready. It will have so much content. Mixed of all reference books, Subbarao, Lexicon, DK Balaji, it's a mix of all these stuff. Your supplementary material is going to be. You can read that at your convenience. Okay? It will have 2-3 definitions. It will have large content. You want it, you can read it. But make sure that you don't miss out this thing. I'll be teaching you only just one definition. Your material will have 3 definitions. Clear? Is it okay? Good? Okay. So, we need to change the affective component. So, think practically, how can you change the affective component? How do you change someone's perception? I don't like you. How do I change my perception? Think. Something about that person is affecting me in a negative manner. That's why I don't like that person. So I need to change the way that negative component is there. So solutions. Communication. I go and talk to that person. I convince myself. Okay, fine. That's one thing. What else? I'm sorry? If that happened, we won't have so many problems, man. Yeah. So some other, but I'll take it. I'll take it. So he said communication, convincing your own mind. What else? Have you had friends who are pure veg? Acceptance is a good one. How do you bring about acceptance? So what? I didn't get you. Socialization. Okay. You know, just meet up with them. You understand them. That's good. See, something is creating a negative impact. So certain people, you just look at them, you want to slap them. I don't know why, but I just want to slap them. I don't know why. That man would have been the sweetest person in the world. I want to slap him. And I have to curb my tendency to slap him. Something, maybe it's the way the way he styles his hair, maybe it's that shirt he's wearing, or maybe it's the shoes he's wearing. I don't know. Something irritates me. That can be something. But genuinely, communication, like he rightly said, communication. Maybe he's genuinely a sweet person. Socialization. Maybe it's because I'm not familiar with that person's personality, or I don't have awareness about his knowledge or something. Socialization is another solution. Someone else said something else. What was it? Acceptance. Acceptance. See, acceptance comes when you do all this. When you do all that, you can accept it. We all have a friend who does not take a bath. We all have that friend. Maybe not now, but I guarantee you, you will have either in your future or in your past or in your present. You will have, or you are that person. I leave that choice to you. So, there is someone like that. Generally, we have a very bad impression as such. But now it's like, my friend, what can I do? I have to live with it, right? So, your attitude changes. Why? Because he or she is your friend. If it was another person, you would have kicked him out of your home. Because he or she is your friend, you are like, fine, take this towel, take this soap, go, do something, come back. That's what we do, right? So the way it affects you is different, because you have a communication with that person, you have a socialization aspect with that person. So in short, familiarity. So familiarity comes through communication, through socialization. All this is possible. That is another way too. So whenever they ask you a questions, I would be happy if you can bring about practical answers like this. Because tomorrow there will be a question like, bring about a change in farmer's attitude. See, farmers have you gone and talked to a farmer? A really old traditional farmer. I don't know whether you faced it, but I've talked to them, and you tell them like, so can you do this kind of irrigation? I've been doing this for the past 1,000 years. My family, generations of generations, have been doing this farming. You with your fancy degree do not have to teach me. That'll be like, I told you only drip irrigation, sir. Put a hose, put 5 holes. That's all I said. But that person cannot accept it. Why? Because their attitude is like, you're a city-born, city-bred person. What do you know about farming? Have you planted a tree? True, I haven't planted a tree. But that, from their perspective, I am not a person who's qualified enough to talk about agriculture to them. Who is an expert? But they are stagnant. So how do you change their attitude? How do you change a farmer's attitude? How do you change the attitude of a farmer like that? Persuasion, social influence, persuasion, yes. Let's take the example of your parents. How many of your parents use mobile phones, smartphones? Almost everyone's parents, right? How many of this category whose parents use smartphones? The same parents would have cursed you out. Yes? Now what are they doing? Facebook. I muted my mother's status. I muted it. She sends me message saying, look at my status. I'm like, fine, okay, I'll look at your status. I bought her a smartphone, and sometimes I consider that to be my biggest regret. I haven't regretted so much even when I couldn't qualify for interview. I couldn't go for the finalists. Went till interview, came back, I didn't have this many regrets. I bought my mother a smartphone, and she started putting status. Out of focus photos, okay? If it was a good photo, fine. Flower is there, flower is blurred. Some dirt in front is in the foreground is what is being focused. One of my biggest regrets in my life. So to avoid looking at it, what did I do? My attitude changed. Cognition is the problem, right? Mute it. I removed that from my status itself. In short, you can give all these examples. But this I gave it in a humorous angle. But please do give examples which are present, which are relevant, which are contemporary. Okay? Don't write examples about, Mahatma Gandhi, Mother Teresa. Everyone does it. Give examples which are pan-Indian. Don't write an example about Kerala. Kerala is a very small state. And there is a huge, big, vast, wide world outside of Kerala. You will write an example which is pan-Indian. Okay? So I say, during the disaster of Kerala flood, the IAS officer of Pathanamthitta, Mr. P.B. Noor did this. I appreciate the work Mr. P.B. Noor has done. But you write that in your answer, not everyone knows about Mr. P.B. Noor. Okay, not everyone knows. So then you have to justify what that person did. So you are right, you are taking Mr. P.B. Noor as an example of dedication to public service. There is such a topic in your ethics. Why don't you write Dr. E. Sridharan? Metro Man. One word is enough. They'll know, okay, he's talking about this person. You don't have to explain. But Mr. P.B. Noor, despite his excellent administrative skills, is not well known outside of Kerala. Do you understand? Dedication to public service. Right, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam? Yes, everyone knows about it. So the examiner won't feel alienated when he looks at your paper. That's the reason. You understand? So when giving your examples, make sure that they are contemporary or at least well known. At the minimum, they should be well known. Okay? Clear?